He was.
Stuff is here.
Kayla's not here.
Cancel that.
They're in the building somewhere.
Well, they're late.
I know.
I could keep banging. I'm sorry, what?
We can get started. Martha's going to be here in like 2 minutes.
Okay. We'll try this again. Board of Adjustment, please come to order. Let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. I see that we have a quorum present. The next order of business is to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second? Any discussion? Hearing none, stands approved. Okay. I'm checking my list, Joe. Do I hear a motion that the minutes of the last meeting be approved as emailed?
I'll second.
Discussion? Hearing none, stands approved.
Arrington, can we have a vote on the minutes?
Sure. Let's see, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there discussion? Is there all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes stand approved. All right, we're now going to move into the first evidentiary hearing that we have on the agenda tonight. The matter is to consider VA 2024-01. This is a variance request submitted by Richard Giles, property owner of the subject property, for the lot described as PIN number 072007755800000, located approximately 400 feet north of the intersection of Assembly Circle and Kentucky Road, to Section 501.5 of the Montreat zoning ordinance, to reduce the front setback requirement from 30 feet to 15 feet on the South Carolina side of the subject property to construct an accessory dwelling unit. The suggested motion is to grant or grant with conditions. BA-2024-01.
I move that we approve the variance.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
She asked for a motion.
No, 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 she just said that was the suggested motion.
Oh,
We still got to do the whole hearing.
Okay.
I would love for it to be that quick, but we are not.
Well, y'all ahead of me. Do I hear a motion that we grant? Or
No,
grant-
no, 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 no. Nope. No. So Arrington, we've got to hold the hearing. So first step, let's ask anybody who's interested in speaking to get sworn in.
That's not what you have written down. Okay, all right. Anyone who would like to speak and testify in this case, please come forward and place your left hand on the Bible, which Andy's going to get,
Yes.
and raise your right hand.
So Rick, you need to get sworn in. Are you going to speak as part of the application? Okay. Jane? No? Okay, so then Rick, come up here and you and I will get sworn in. While we have a moment to pause, I just want to quickly introduce, we have Susan Taylor Rash, the town's legal counsel, here with us tonight. Also in the back of the room, we have town manager Savannah Parrish.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Are you?
We're not
Y'all.
getting it. Sorry.
Y'all,
I'm good at reading lips.
I am dying right now. I'll repeat in a second. I do.
All right.
All right, I'll say it. I'll say that one more.
Thank you so much, Mr. Giles. You may.
Nope, not yet. Not yet. We're not ready yet. You can take your seat, Rick. I know y'all couldn't hear me. We have the town's legal counsel, Susan Taylor Ash, here. And we also have Savannah Parrish, who is the town manager, in the back of the room. So let's do conflicts of interest now.
Before opening the hearing, I would like the zoning administrator to proceed with the conflict of interest examination of our board members. Board members, this is your chance to reveal possible conflicts and to withdraw from this proceeding if necessary. Please note that any correspondence or contributions related to the applicant must be disclosed. Kayla is going to handle this.
Thank you, Arrington. Okay, we're going to do our standard list of questions that you all deeply love. Have any of you discussed with any member of the Board of Adjustment the project or property, the variance application, the hearing, the applicant, or any opposition?
No.
Okay. Do any of you have a fixed opinion prior to hearing this variance that is not susceptible to change?
No.
Okay. Next, I'm going to ask you about ex parte communication. Let's see. Have any of you had any ex parte communications with the applicant regarding the property, the applicant regarding the application, the applicant regarding the quasi-judicial hearing, or the opposition in any of the same matters?
No.
No? Okay. Do any of you have a close familial relationship with the applicant, opposition, or any other person that may be affected by the variance?
No.
All right. Do any of you have any business relationships with the applicant, opposition, or any other person affected by the variance?
No.
Do any of you have any associational relationships with the applicant, the opposition, or any other person that may be affected by the variance?
No.
Okay. And do any of you have any financial interest in the outcome of this application, any ownership interest in the application?
No.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
All right. I now open the evidentiary hearing on this matter and ask for testimony from the zoning administrator. Kayla.
Thank you. Josh, can I get the variance PowerPoint? Thank you. Okay. All right. For the record, my name is Kayla DiChristina. I'm the zoning administrator for the town of Montreat. I submit into evidence the staff materials as well as the applicant's application package. Variance request VA 2024-01 is before you tonight for consideration. Next slide, please. Whoop, too fast. Thank you. PIN number 072007755800000. Address 426 Kentucky Road. The owners are Sally and Rick Giles. They are here tonight if you all have any questions for them. The subject property of the application is 0.25 acres. It's currently zoned R1 and has an existing single-family dwelling on the property. Next slide, please. All right, so Rick Giles is the property owner. He is the applicant. The application summary, it's a variance request to section 501.5 of the zoning ordinance to reduce the front setback required on the subject property from 30 feet to 15 feet from South Carolina Terrace to construct an accessory dwelling unit. The accessory dwelling unit also requires a special use permit, and that application has been submitted concurrently with this application. So right now we're just talking about the variance. We will do the special use permit application next. Talking about setbacks, so the subject property is a double frontage lot in the R1 zoning district, so it's subject to the setbacks of a double frontage lot in the R1 zoning district. That's 30 feet from South Carolina Terrace and 30 feet from Kentucky Road, and then 15 feet from either side. The variance requested is to the South Carolina side of the property, which is a front, so the request is to go from 30 feet to 15 feet. Next slide, please. This is the applicant's site plan. You can see the proposed accessory dwelling unit outlined in black. I've provided the setbacks in green. You can see that it's proposing to comply with the left, right, and the front setback from Kentucky Road. It is the South Carolina Terrace side that the variance is requested to. Next slide, please. These are some pictures that I took of the property. On the left-hand side is from the roadbed. This is facing east from Kentucky Road, so looking from Kentucky Road to South Carolina Terrace. On the right-hand side is facing from the west, so looking down towards Kentucky from South Carolina Terrace. Next slide, please. Okay. I'm going to talk now about the zoning and land use of both the subject property and the surrounding properties. The subject property is zoned R1, as are the properties surrounding it. On all sides are existing single-family dwellings. The average size of the lots, the subject property is 0.25 acres, and to the north, the subject properties average about 0.23 acres. To the south, it's about 0.27 acres. To the east, across Kentucky Road, it's about 0.36 acres, or I'm sorry, across South Carolina Terrace. I don't know my east from my west. Across South Carolina Terrace is 0.36 acres, and then to the west, across Kentucky, is 0.23 acres. Next slide, please. Topography of the subject property. The subject property slopes from, let me get my directions right, slopes upward from west to east. It's an average of 31.36% slope. You can see on the screen before you and in your packets the surrounding topography to the north and the south of the subject property. The contours are similar. North, the average slope is 27.83%. To the south, the average slope is 40.14%. On the other side of Kentucky Road, the lots are flatter with an average of 9.09%. And then to the east across South Carolina Terrace, the average slope is 47.04%. Next slide, please. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about the right-of-ways on either side of the property. You can see on the left image the subject property outlined in red. The right-of-way to the left is to the west is Kentucky Road. That right-of-way is a width of 30 feet. On the eastern side is South Carolina Terrace, and this is a variable width right-of-way, so you can see that the right-of-way expands from 34 feet north of the subject property to about 64 feet south of the subject property. At the subject property, the right-of-way width's about 59%. That's when you start to see it widen up. I've also taken some pictures on the right-hand side. The one on the top is facing south on South Carolina Terrace, and then the one on the bottom is facing north. So you can get a sense of the, what's the word I'm thinking? The topography of the road itself, how it changes in the vicinity of the subject property. Next slide, please. All right, I wanted to talk a little bit about streams and stormwater. There is a stream kind of on the subject properties to the north, on the properties to the north of the subject property. One thing that this picture doesn't tell you is that the presence of stormwater coming off of South Carolina Terrace onto the subject property. I spoke with Barry Kreisman, who is the Director of Public Works, and he, in his experience, Mr. Giles' property does receive a pretty significant amount of stormwater throughout the year. Mr. Giles has installed stormwater management measures on his property to manage that stormwater. And so we're not sure exactly what is happening in that area of South Carolina Terrace, but we do know that Mr. Giles' property is receiving stormwater in a different way than the properties surrounding him. And that correspondence is in my staff report. Next slide, please. Okay. All right. Ooh, I did that real quick. The board shall grant a variance upon showing of the following 6 findings of fact. I just wanted to note that if the variance is granted, it shall be the least possible deviation from the requirements of this ordinance. In granting any variance, the Board of Adjustment may prescribe appropriate conditions and safeguards in conformity with this ordinance. The setback variances are granted for the development shown on the site plan that's included in this application. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I have a question.
Yes.
So if I visited the property, and I listened to your explanation, and if I understand it, South Carolina is above Kentucky?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a hillside that drops down from South Carolina down towards your property?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay, so are you going to be disturbing that hillside at all?
Let's ask me questions,
Okay.
and then Rick will get up
Okay,
and
fine. Is
and
it
then
no-
Rick
okay,
will get up and
so
share, and then
South Carolina's up here, and then there's a little hillside, and it goes into the Kentucky property, is that right?
it goes, yeah,
Okay, so is there going to be any disturbing of that hillside?
on Mr. Giles's property, yes.
There is.
On within the bounds of his property, yes.
Okay. Is that going to affect any of the water drainage?
I think we'll get to that.
So, I mean, I can speak very briefly to that. The stormwater, I think Mr. Giles can expand on this, but, you know, he will be required to manage his stormwater on site. He is doing that now, and based on his plan, seems like he's making considerations for the existing infrastructure he has on the property. But I think after he has a chance to speak, I'd be interested to see what he could add.
Okay.
Are there any further questions for Kayla from the board? Does the applicant want to provide any testimony to the board? Please stand and come to the microphone.
For the record, I'm Rick Giles, the property owner. Can we go back to the slide that I furnished with the site plan?
Yes. Josh, can we go to the slide that has the site plan on it, please? Slide 4.
So we had only owned the property about a year when I was there one Sunday, and it had been raining for the better part of a week, and I was inside the house reading, and it was really coming down at that point, and I heard kind of a crashing noise. I couldn't figure out what it was, so I went out the back door and of our existing structure, and it looked like Niagara Falls right outside our house. I mean, there was a tremendous amount of water. It was crashing over our retaining wall. Fortunately, the original builder built kind of a trough thing around the house, and it was performing. But the water was running around the right-hand side of the house as I'm facing it there, and it was overwhelming the retention wall down below and running into the basement and the crawl space of the house. But the volume of the water was unbelievable. And so that was my first experience with it. Based on that, the house was under construction at the time, so I had the guys that put in the circular driveway come back, go around the side of the house and cut in the swale that's noted, there through the middle of the backyard in order to get the water to run around the house and quit running over the wall and so close to the house. And that works well, but to put in perspective just how much water there is, the first time that we had another one of those rain events, after I put in the swale, we also put a pipe in across the driveway there at the bottom. And so the second event took the entire driveway out because we didn't have the pipe at the time. We just had the swale. And so I came back, put some pipes in, rebuilt it, and added some other stone to disperse the water down at the bottom. So I have it working well now because we've had at least a third event since then. But I'm just trying to put in perspective for you just how much water. The blue lines up there are the area that it mainly comes down, and it does break from right to left, you know, as it heads across there. So we basically, to answer your question, we tried to place the ADU up and in the corner, you know, away from that flow. And we will have to disturb the ground in order to build the accessory dwelling unit. But all the grassing and trees and swales that I put in, none of that will be disturbed. I will have to do some things with the ADU itself for the water that comes up against it. I'll have to, you know, as part of the permit process, show how we're going to handle that. So hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Are there any further questions?
Yeah. Let me, okay, so the existing retaining wall that's behind the ADU is not built. ADU does not have the retaining wall at this point, correct? No. Okay, it will though, obviously.
All right, yes.
I mean, that's one of the preventive measures I can see on here that you're probably taking into account. Question for you though. Now this may or may not work. You're wanting a 15-foot setback, and you have a pretty large deck on the front of the house. I get that. I'm just curious, is there any way to reduce the depth of that deck to cut into that 15-foot part? Because I can't tell the dimensions on it here on the site plan, but I believe it's, what, 19 by 10? Is that correct, or?
That's what the
I think
plans
so.
show, yeah.
I believe, I'm just,
Yeah, the point of the deck, the point is that it is a deck, and it would be, you know, above grade and above non-disturbed grade, other than to put the post in. So there's, you know, water that kind of breaks through that area also.
no, my question is then if you did reduce the size of the deck, and it's just a consideration, I'm just
Right.
asking for my own benefit. If you made it, I don't know, if it's 19 feet wide, 10 feet deep, if you made it 5 feet deep, cut it 5 feet. And also were able to move the house, the whole footprint, down the mountain, so to speak, you, at least according to the elevation I see on the next page, which we don't have up here, it should cut into how much you're going to have to raise the house. In other words, how big your stairs and step downs are going to be off of where the house is going to be, the main floor of the house.
It's a pretty consistent grade, so that the
Yeah.
distance from the grade up to the door of the house is going to be the same. But if I could walk over here, I mean,
Sure. Whoops.
I'm gonna have Josh open the plans up.
so the point is,
No.
they're sliding it
That's
down the,
South Carolina. It's up here, facing Kentucky. There we go. That's, Rick, that's the one I'm talking about. And my thought is, if the dark black line is the grade, if it's correct, moving the house down the mountain, so to speak, towards the other property, your main house, would mean you would not have to make it so high. It would also make you, yes, have a smaller deck, but you wouldn't need as much stairs to get up to it either. Now, again, I want to be very cognizant, though, you got to take care of the water that's coming through there. And,
so this line, I mean, the slope continues the same.
Right.
The same thing, so that line's not correct. So, can we go back to the site plan?
First page of the plans.
back to 4. There we go.
Thanks, Josh.
So you have to try to comply with the 15-foot side slide downhill, you're just taking this point right here and moving it downhill. And that's,
I'm wanting it to stay the same way it's going. In other words, follow the floodplain line. Don't come this way. Don't go.
So,
see, I have to stay on the 15-foot setback.
yeah, David, if he moves it straight back, that upper left-hand corner of the deck is going to cross
Yeah,
the 15 feet.
those 2 points would stay the same, they would just slide downhill, but this is the critical point, because this is sliding parallel to that line up there, so it's sliding this way. And so we're moving into the area that's the main flow of water.
What you don't want to do.
I'm not sure I follow that with
I mean, if I
the
had to
side
do-
elevation doesn't indicate that.
And so the point of the house and the point of the deck would stay on the 15-foot line. And so if we tried to go downhill, the entire thing is moving downhill parallel to that 15-foot setback.
Is the 15-foot setback not the dotted line?
It is.
It is-
So why is it 15 foot off the street? That's not the same.
No. No, we're talking about the side setback on the north side of the property.
Right,
Do you see that green 15?
I do.
That's touching the solid line and the dotted line.
Got
That's
that.
the required side setback.
Okay.
What Mr. Giles is saying is that if he were to take the footprint and slide it down the mountain to reduce the variance request, he would either have to cross the side property line or cross into the existing flow of stormwater.
I got you. To avoid the flood, you can't avoid the floodplain and the side setback.
No,
One or
it's
the
not,
other's
it's not a
gonna
flood,
happen.
it's not a floodplain,
Yeah.
just
yeah,
stormwater.
Okay.
Are there any further questions from the board? The applicant? Thank you, Mr. Giles.
I have a real quickie. I'm just curious, what is the purpose of your new building?
4 grandchildren. The existing home is only 1,200 square feet, and when everybody shows up with all the grandkids and their dogs and everything else, it's just not big enough.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any further questions?
1,200 square, let me ask you this, Rick. It says 2124 on the site plan. Which is it?
Because I think that includes a covered front porch.
Oh, Mike,
Yeah.
sorry.
I think that includes a covered front porch,
900 square feet? Hang on.
if you take the rectangle.
Let me see a picture. That's not it.
The ADU is proposed, the interior space is proposed to be 22 by 18,
Yeah.
and the exterior space is proposed to be about 20-ish, a little bit less, by 10.
Yeah, I'm sorry, was your question about the ADU? I thought you were asking how
Yeah,
big my
I was
existing.
asking about the two-story,
Yeah,
the main house.
so it's 40,
24 by 40,
correct,
26 by 40, excuse me.
yeah.
And it's two-story and it's 1,200 square feet?
Yeah, I mean, the downstairs, it's not, the downstairs is only the
it
front
un-
half.
It's not finished?
Yeah, the back half of the downstairs is a crawl
No,
space.
No, that's not what he's saying. No, there's the two-story house. I'm asking about all of the property. Okay. All right. I don't see how it's 1,200 square feet. But anyway.
Any more? We good?
Yeah,
I don't see any people who are here who are opposing this granting of this variance. So Kayla, would you have a closing statement?
I do. I want you guys to remember your training. Remember that cheat sheet that I gave you guys where we talk about peculiar conditions and hardship. And remember, like I say every single time, for every single finding of fact, I need to know why you're making it and where you got that information from in the evidentiary record. Okay? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Would the applicant like to make a closing statement? All right, then let's close this evidentiary hearing, and the board will begin deliberations on the variance. Thank you. Okay, folks. I want to remind you that no unsolicited comments from members of the public are permitted as the period for public comment has closed. Board members can ask members of the public, Jane, you're the member of the public, for any staff questions. Exhibits have been presented. The board must make the 6 findings required for the variance request during the deliberation. The board must review each finding and state why they believe it is met. This assists staff with the drafting of written orders of approval. Reference to the board finding the application satisfactory in evaluating the 6 conditions must be included in the motion. Approval for a variance requires a 4/5 vote. Is there a motion on the first, where is it?
No, Arrington, just
Brianna.
go through each finding of fact and discuss them as a group. Individually, and use your little worksheet to guide you.
Got it. Okay. For 310.42A, unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property.
Now, if you guys want to go out of order, you can. If there are easier ones for you guys to discuss, you can. Otherwise, you can go in order.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Do we have to vote on each one?
I mean, I would have your discussion, and then go and vote on each one.
Yeah,
So,
all right.
I'll say I'm okay with approving 310-42A.
why?
Because if I learn from the hearing, from the training, the variance hardship has to be on the property. And I think that they've demonstrated that.
How have they demonstrated it? I need to know more than that. Do any other board members have thoughts they can share?
Yes, I think that because of the issue of the stormwater and the issue of the property line, they kind of have to have it where it is. Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me.
Okay. Is there any evidence against? Any additional questions? Okay, moving on. Is that good, Kayla?
I think that if you guys don't have anything else to add, I think that's fine.
Okay. 310.42B, the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from the conditions that are common to the neighborhood or general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. Okay,
I
board,
think that's pretty self-evident, that it's topography and water.
anybody against? Argument
Can I
against?
have a little bit more detail? When you say topography and water, what do you mean?
Flow onto the property from South Carolina Terrace down.
The flooding.
Okay.
You want me to repeat that, Josh?
No, I got it.
got- you got-
And then you said topography. What about the
Topography is, you don't have much choice where else you can put it. I mean, well, the lay of the land.
And where did that information come from?
Site plan and the subject's evidence,
Thank you.
site plan and the elevations. That's what I'm going on. Is that sufficient?
Unless the board has anything else to add.
No, the only thing that I would add to that is the amount of damage that's already been displayed when the flooding occurs.
When you say the damage, but this damage, if there is any, is specific to this property, not to
Anything
general
else?
neighbors or street or anything?
Yes, Niagara Falls
Right,
during his
exactly.
presentation.
Right, okay,
And taking out the driveway.
that's his driveway.
So specifically the testimony that the applicant provided tonight.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. 310.42C, the hardship did not result from the actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The act of purchasing property with knowledge that a circumstance exists that may justify the granting of a variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship. Evidence 4.
I don't believe that they did anything to the property that created the, it's referred to as Niagara Falls. It's just the nature of that piece of property, the way it's below South Carolina where the water comes from. So I'm okay with this finding of fact.
Against?
Or any other thoughts?
I'm sorry.
Because of the evidence presented by the Jaws applicant.
Okay. Ready? 310.42D, the variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. I think that's a no-brainer.
I think that has been met because of Kayla's testimony that you talked to someone about the water, and that person who is knowledgeable said that there is an aggregate of water through that property.
And I think based on the testimony of the applicant, that they have taken into consideration public safety with all the improvements they've already done at the property and intend to do with the new structure.
Are we done? Everybody good? Okay. I would like to suggest a motion that the board find the unnecessary hardship would result from the strict order. Huh?
We got two more.
Where am I?
Flip
On the
sheet.
backside.
E and F,
The backside.
E and F.
Okay, excuse me.
They're trying to make a motion before the hearing.
310.624, the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan as submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it's to be located.
No, you're on the wrong page.
You picked up the special use one and turned that one over. Find the variance one and turn that over.
Okay. 310.42E,
Right.
got too many pieces of paper here. The variance requested is the minimum variance that will make possible the requested use of the land, building, or structure. Evidence 4.
I'm in favor of it because of the discussion between one of our board members and the property owner where they discussed the the issue of the placement of the property, and I think that the applicant answered the questions to my satisfaction.
Agree.
Yes.
Agreed. 310.42F. The variance is not a request to permit a use of land, building, or structure which is not permissible in the applicable zoning district. Evidence supporting.
That's correct. It's the residence and it's zoned R1.
They are also applying for a special use permit concurrently. They're not asking for a variance in the use, it's just a setback. Yes.
4
Now,
against,
4.
4.
Four.
I did that. Didn't somebody say they were?
Need is this a motion to approve the variance now?
Not yet.
Okay.
Are you guys done discussing that last one?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. I think if you want to make a motion based on this discussion, somebody can.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion from the board member that we find that unnecessary hardship would result from the strict applicant of the ordinance because.
I'll move to approve the variance.
Let's go, hang on. Let's go each finding of fact and vote on them,
Okay.
Okay?
okay? So you move to find or not find that whatever finding of fact has been met.
That's what we thought we just did, to tell you the truth. That's why we were saying 4, yes.
Let's just go through it once more, just for the record, please. Thank you.
Arrington's going to lead us in that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. 310.61. That's not it.
No. Go back to the one we were just doing.
Where is it?
310-42A.
42A.
Right here.
Don't give them both to us at the
I
same
know,
time.
I really should just hand you guys papers
His
one
face.
one at a time.
Okay, here we go. 310.42A. Unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property.
Somebody give a motion.
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
Yep.
Carries. Okay.
Yeas and nays.
Yeas or nays?
Yeas and nays.
Yeas and nays, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 310.42B. The hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. Do I hear a motion from the board?
I move that approve.
Be accepted.
Approve.
Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The act of purchasing property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship.
I move we approve that.
Second.
Discussion? Yeas?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes? Carried. The variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance such that the public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved.
I move for approval.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The variance requested is the minimum variance that will make possible the requested use of the land, building, or structure.
I move we approve.
Second.
Discussion? Ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes? Carried. The variance is not a request to permit a use of land, building, or structure which is not permitted in the applicable zoning district.
To
Motion?
approve.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, can I get a final motion to grant the variance?
I can't just say so move, can
Is
I?
this
I have
what,
to read the whole thing out.
Well,
We're just do it again.
so is this what I read if I want to move?
You can just say the suggested motion. Just that line, I think. it's
therefore, the
sufficient.
board finds that 6 findings of fact required for a variance satisfactory and grant.
Move to grant VA-2024-01.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes? All right,
I feel like I've just gone through all of that Supreme Court stuff.
We've
that we're
passed.
doing today.
you do.
I like you guys to do it every
I could
single
run a
way,
meeting.
so there's no
Okay.
question.
Just so you guys will understand, it's not our fault. It's because. It's because when things get
It's
up
her
here.
fault.
And up here, that every I has to be dotted and T crossed, so just be patient.
Okay, so we're done with the variance. Now we
Okay.
need to do the special use permit. So Arrington, are you ready to lead us through that? We have to do this whole thing again, different findings of fact.
Yes. All right, we will now move on to the second evidentiary hearing, which you have on the agenda. This matter is to consider SUP-2024-01. This is a request for special use permit to allow a 468 square foot accessory dwelling unit with a final height taller than 10 feet, submitted by Richard Giles, property owner, for the lot described as PIN number 072007755800000, located approximately 400 feet north of the intersection of Assembly Circle and Kentucky Road on property in the R1 residential zoning district. The suggested motion is to grant or grant with conditions. SUP-2024-01. So all persons who wish to speak to this, do we have to swear them in again? Please stand and be sworn in by Angie. Raise your right hand.
Again, yeah, we gotta come in again.
Talk on the Bible.
Yes. Nope, not yet, not yet, not yet.
You may now sit back down. Thank you.
Nope.
Supper time's not yet.
Okay. Kayla?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, yep. Let's do this again.
Special use permit.
All right. Have any of you discussed with any member of the Board of Adjustment the project or property, the SUP application, the quasi-judicial hearing, the applicant, or the opposition?
No.
Okay. Do any of you have a fixed opinion prior to hearing the special use permit that is not susceptible to change?
No.
No.
Okay. Ex parte communication. Have any of you had ex parte communications with the applicant regarding the project or property, the SUP application, the quasi-judicial hearing, or the opposition on any of those matters?
No.
Okay, do any of you have any close familial relationships with the applicant, the opposition, or any other person that may be affected by the SUP?
No.
All right, do any of you have a business relationship with the applicant, the opposition, or anybody affected by the special use permit application?
No.
Okay. Do any of you have an associational relationship with the applicant, the opposition, or any other person that may be affected by the special use permit?
No.
All right. Do any of you have a financial interest in the outcome of the special use permit application, the outcome of the hearing, the project or property, the success of the applicant or opposition, or do you have any ownership interest in this application?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, I'd also like to ask any board member who might have any information or special knowledge about the case that may not come out at the hearing tonight. If so, please describe that information for the record so that interested parties will know and can respond. Anybody? Okay, I now open the evidentiary hearing on this matter and ask for testimony from the zoning administrator.
Josh, second PowerPoint, thank you. All right. For the record, my name's Kayla DiChristina. I'm the zoning administrator for the town of Montreat. I submit into evidence the applicant's application package for the special use permit as well as the staff materials. SUP 2024-01, the special use permit request before you tonight. Next slide, please. Subject property overview. Subject property's PIN is 072007755800000. Address 426 Kentucky Road. The owners are Sally and Rick Giles. They're here tonight if you have any questions about this application. The property is 0.25 acres. It's currently zoned R1 and has an existing single-family dwelling. Next slide, please. Zoning and land use. The subject property is zoned R1 and contains an existing single-family dwelling. On all sides of the subject property are properties zoned R1, also containing single-family dwellings. Next slide, please. The application was submitted by Rick Giles, the property owner. This is request for approval for a special use permit to allow a 468 square foot accessory dwelling unit with a final height taller than 10 feet. Accessory dwelling units in the R1 zoning district require a special use permit per the Montreat zoning ordinance section 500. Accessory buildings exceeding 10 feet in height also require a special use permit per Montreat zoning ordinance section 606.13. The applicant also submitted a variance request concurrently with this application to reduce the required fence setback that you all approved previously tonight. Next slide, please. This is the site plan for this application. It should look a little familiar to you all. You can see the accessory dwelling unit outlined in black. The setbacks are shown to the north, south, east, and west. As a reminder, the setback on the right-hand side from South Carolina Terrace received the variance request tonight to grant a reduction from 30 feet to 15 feet. Otherwise, the applicant's proposing to meet all the other required setbacks. Next slide, please. Again, this should look familiar to you all. These are site pictures. The one on the left is from Kentucky Road facing east, so looking up the property to South Carolina Terrace. The one on the right is facing west, looking down the property towards Kentucky Road from South Carolina Terrace. Next slide, please. Okay. So the existing single-family dwelling on the subject property is permitted by right in the zoning district. The existing single-family dwelling was built in approximately 1926 per its property record card. I can't see on the PowerPoint, but it's approximately 25 feet tall and, sorry, hang on. and is 2,124 square feet in size. Thank you, Josh. Accessory dwelling units in the R1 zoning district require a special use permit. As I stated earlier, accessory buildings exceeding 10 feet in height also require a special use permit, so the applicant's applying for both of those at the same time. The subject property is an existing lot, so lot requirements do not apply. The subject property is considered a double frontage lot. The proposed accessory dwelling unit must comply with the required setbacks for a dwelling in the R1 zoning district on a double frontage lot. So I talked about this earlier, but that means that this property is subject to 2 front setbacks, one from South Carolina Terrace and one from Kentucky Road. On the north and south sides, it's subject to a 15-foot setback. The applicant plans to meet all of the setbacks except for the one off of South Carolina Terrace, which you granted a variance for. Regarding the comprehensive plan, the following vision in Montreat tomorrow may be relevant to this application. This is the development vision. Montreat will be a community that respects buildings with historic value, encourages new development to consider the surrounding architecture, and strives for resilience in the face of a changing climate. Next slide, please. Ooh, back one? Or is this?
Yeah, that's right.
Is this right? Okay. Oh, yes, it is. Sorry. Whoop. Going on to topography, the subject property has a slope of 31.36%. It slopes downward from east to west. You can see on that image above. Regarding parking, the single-family dwelling is not subject to parking requirements per section 700 of the Montreat zoning ordinance because it's an existing dwelling. However, the applicant does have a driveway on site that does have space for several parking spaces. The proposed accessory building requires an additional parking space to be added to the site. Right now, the applicant has 4 existing parking spaces on the subject property, so what they have now is sufficient. Landscaping and trees, the landscaping requirements of section 900.2 of the zoning ordinance don't apply to the subject property, and no trees or vegetation are proposed to be removed within the town's right-of-way. Next slide, please. All right, special requirements. So accessory buildings must meet the following requirements of the Montreat zoning ordinance, section 606.1. In the non-bolded text, those are the requirements from the zoning ordinance. I've bolded the zoning administrator's review in your staff reports and on the screen before you. Let's see, so the applicant's applying for a special use permit to use the proposed accessory building as an accessory dwelling unit. There's currently no other accessory buildings or uses on the subject property. The applicant is proposing the, to be 468 square feet in size, has a final height of 22 feet, 6.5 inches. They intend to meet the setback requirement from Kentucky Road and the 2 sides, and has received the variance for the reduction off South Carolina Terrace. Regarding the final special requirement about building code, this will be enforced at the time of permitting. Next slide, please. All right, accessory dwelling units also have to meet specific standards per the Montreat zoning ordinance section 619. Again, the requirements are on the slide before you and in the staff report in non-bold text, and then the zoning administrator's review is in bold text. So the accessory dwelling unit is proposed to be located on a residential lot, which currently contains an existing single-family dwelling with no other accessory structures. There are no existing accessory structures or accessory dwelling units on the subject property. The height of the principal structure is approximately 25 feet, and the height of the accessory dwelling unit is proposed to be 22 feet, 6.5 inches. And I've talked about the setback requirements several times already. And regarding number 4, the accessory dwelling unit is proposed to be 468 square feet, while the principal structure is 2,124 square feet in size. Next slide, please. Oh my gosh, there's more. Sorry, I didn't realize there were 4 more. The draft floor plans for the proposed accessory dwelling unit include kitchen facilities and a full bath. So that meets that top requirement. I've talked about parking previously. The applicant currently has 4 parking spaces on the site already. So they have sufficient parking to provide for the accessory dwelling unit. They're not proposing to use manufactured housing, a camper, a travel trailer, or an RV as an accessory dwelling unit. They're proposing a stick-built structure. And then an accessory dwelling unit shall be occupied by no more than 4 persons. The applicant's proposal is for a 2-bed accessory dwelling unit. The applicant will be reminded of this requirement at the time of permitting, should the variance and special use permit be approved. Next slide, please. Okay, so the board shall grant a special use permit upon showing of all the following per section 310.6 of the Montreat zoning ordinance. I'll remind the board that in granting any special use permit, the Board of Adjustment may prescribe appropriate conditions and safeguards in conformity with any of the town's land development ordinances. And I'll just ask that the board do the same thing that they did for the variance request. Let's talk about each of them. I'll have you guys go back and vote on each of them, and then we'll do a final vote. That's all I have. Does the board have any questions for me?
I have a question.
Yes.
Page 8, under section 619, point number 8. An accessory dwelling unit shall not be occupied by more than 4 persons.
Right.
Can you explain that further? Does that mean visiting, living, based on what I've heard tonight? There could be more than 4 people staying there?
I don't have an answer for that at the moment, but it is something that we would enforce and remind the applicant of at the time of permitting. So that will be enforced. Yeah, that will be enforced.
And I have a second question.
Yep.
And that is, this structure is all above ground, is that correct?
That's what the applicant's plans
It's
show,
all above
yes.
ground. Okay, so does the egress, ingress, is there more than one egress and ingress to this property other than those steps?
Mm-mm.
So if there was a fire on the front steps, how would they exit this property?
That is beyond the scope of the zoning administrator
Okay.
to answer.
Okay,
However, should the special use permit be granted, all requirements with appropriate building codes will need to be met before permits will be issued.
okay. All right. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the board for the applicant?
Well,
Let him talk.
does the applicant want to say anything?
He's back.
Does,
Unless you have any questions, I don't have anything to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions for Kayla? Okay. If not, I declare the evidentiary hearing closed, and the board will begin deliberations on the special use permit application. Thank you. All right, the board must make 6 findings required for the special use permit during the deliberation. The board must review each finding and state why they believe it is met. This assists staff with the drafting of the written orders of approval. Reference to the board finding the application satisfactory in evaluating the 6 conditions must be included in the motion. Okay. So 310, oh, it's right? 310.624?
2-1.
2-1.
Do you have any, you don't have the right. Here it is right here.
Oh, got it. Okay. 310.621. The use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare if located where proposed and developed according to the plan is submitted and approved. Evidence supporting. Anybody?
What I raised before, I'm just going to leave it, I'm going to I'll be happy.
Speaking to you,
Okay,
Mike.
so I did raise the issue of the safety of the one-way in and out on a second-floor structure. But I'm satisfied with the answer I got from Kayla, so I'll be okay with that.
Anything against? Okay. Montreat zoning ordinance 310.622. The use meets, huh? Ed, did you have a question?
No.
The use meets or will meet all the required and applicable development standards and conditions of the town of Montreat or the zoning district in which the subject property is located, including without limitation all development standards, conditions, and requirements related to utilities, parking, access, and stormwater drainage.
I think the evidence presented by Kayla did support this. So I'm fine in favor of it.
I'm fine with that.
Okay?
I'd also ask that you guys note that they did have a variance that you
Right.
did grant as well.
Right. Okay, right.
Yes.
So we can apply that.
I mean, I would just note, because it's technically not requiring, it's not complying with the front setback from South Carolina Terrace, but you guys did okay that, so.
Okay? The use will not substantially diminish and impair the value of any property or portion of which is located within 250 feet of the boundary of the subject property.
I'm fine with that. I heard no testimony other than to that, to challenge that tonight.
Anything against?
Well, we need to talk about what we heard that did support it.
Oh.
So what have you heard tonight or reviewed in the evidentiary record that supports that finding of fact?
I guess it's like I can't answer a negative. I didn't hear any that would not substantially diminish it. I mean, I didn't hear
Speak into
anybody,
your thing.
I didn't hear anybody come in and say the property's going to increase in value. But I didn't hear anybody that came in and said it's going to decrease their value, so,
Or diminish?
or diminish, so. Other than, yeah.
Is everybody good with that?
So in lack, if there's a lack of evidence, we don't find against, because there's no evidence against.
No one spoke against it, in other words.
Right.
People within 250 feet had the opportunity to come
Correct.
if their homes' property values were going to be diminished, and they are not here.
I think that's-
Correct.
Right, there's no opposition.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Zoning ordinance 310.624, the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan is submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property for the purposes already permitted within the area in which it's located. Evidence 4.
Didn't I read in the paperwork that the style is going to be similar to the style of the original house that's there? Did I read that?
You did read that.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
And the new structure is not going to be taller than the existing structure. Is that correct?
Right.
Correct.
So, no views will be disturbed, from what I read.
Mhm.
No sites will be disturbed.
No views. Okay. Moving on, zoning ordinance 310.625, the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan is submitted and approved, will be in the general conformity with the adopted policies and plans, including the comprehensive plan of the town of Montreat. Evidence 4.
I would base this on Kayla's testimony, and I'm okay with that.
And I'm very familiar with the comprehensive plan, and it seems to fit with the comprehensive plan.
Is there a specific part of the comprehensive plan it fits with, Mari?
Well, we're talking about general conformity. And if you want to have, with comprehensive plan, it would be architecture and landscaping, water runoff, you know, the whole, everything that was associated with the new building.
We okay? All right. Zoning 310.626. Adequate measures have been taken or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize congestion in the public streets. That's not an issue.
Tell me more.
Well, there's a driveway and some parking places, right?
But it's been there.
Yeah.
That exists.
This is specific to the public streets.
So in other words,
Right.
you've got off-street parking.
Yes, they do.
And I think it says that they're not going to, there's 4 parking spaces now at the property, and they're not asking for any additional parking spaces?
They're not required to.
Not required,
Yeah.
right, right. And I don't think grandchildren, well, maybe grandchildren don't drive. Maybe one day, but.
Which cars?
Okay. May I have a motion then that we approve this case?
Well, let's vote
Or
on
vote
them.
on this
Yeah,
case?
I'm gonna make you guys do this again. Vote on them one by one, and then give me a motion overall. I don't want any questions.
Oh, I do have one question before we vote. And I think everybody noticed it, and I'm sure it's just, why does it say Black Mountain, not Montreat, on the address?
Some addresses are technically Black Mountain. Yeah, it's like a
Okay.
weird
Okay, that
post office
doesn't
thing.
affect the legality of this? or
No, 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 no. This is town of Montreat.
No, I know,
This is yeah.
but it does
Yeah,
say
I
Black
know.
Mountain in the application.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's a weird post office
Oh, yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Closer you are to this side of town, you're Black Mountain. Closer you are to that side, it's Montreat.
Is that,
just
can I-
weird.
I'm going to ask you,
I
Attorney.
have things that I order from Amazon or something that won't even
Yeah, no,
recognize
Ed,
the
it's okay,
Montreat
it's okay.
address.
Okay,
Yeah, we're good.
all right,
So this is fine.
Yeah, it's fine. We're good.
all right.
Okay.
100%,
So
we're good.
let's vote on this one by one then.
That's right. Thank you.
The use will not, 310.621, the use will not be detrimental or endanger public health, safety, or general welfare if located where proposed and developed according to the plan is submitted. May I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
No? 310.622, the use meets or will meet all the required and applicable development standards and conditions of the town of Montreat, of the zoning district in which the subject property is located, including without limitation all development standards, conditions, and requirements related to utilities, parking, access, and stormwater drainage. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
I second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Noes? 310.623, the use will not substantially diminish or impair the value of any property of any portion of which is located within 250 feet of the boundary of the subject property. Motion?
So move.
Second? Who seconded?
Me.
David. A discussion? All approved?
Aye.
Noes? Okay, 310.624. The location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan is submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area which is to be located and will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property for the purposes already permitted within the area in which it's located. Motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
Second by Maury. Discussion? All approved?
Aye.
Noes? Okay. MZ ordinance 310.625, the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan is submitted and approved, will be in general conformity with the adopted policies and plans, including the comprehensive plan of the town of Montreat.
I move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? MZ 310.626. Adequate measures have been taken or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize congestion in public streets.
I move to approve.
Second.
Second by Maury. Any discussion? Yeas?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes? Approved.
All right, now, motion.
Now, let me get a final motion.
Yep,
May I hear a final motion on this case?
make a motion that we grant SUP 2024-01.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
See, that wasn't too bad.
Motion carried.
Yay!
Go build your building. All right, is there any new business? All right, that's the final agenda for tonight's meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Carried. I move to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Will you guys wait
Bang.
1 second?
Huh?
Oh,
No, I'll
Huh?
talk to you guys about what comes next, so just give me a second.
yeah, I got a question.
We good?
We're good, we're good, we're good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all for